Please go ahead.
Hi. Hey, can anybody hear me? Huh. Hi, Dana. So we seem to be having technical difficulties.
Hi, everybody. It's Dana Sheehan from FinCom.
Hi, Dana. We have technical difficulties going on. I can hear you. Can you hear me?
Yes.
All right. So the two of us can hear each other. Everybody else is muted, and I don't know why that is, but they can't seem to unmute.
Oh.
Huh.
Maybe it would be a good idea to log off and log back in for some.
Pan, do you want to try that? To log off and come back in? All right. Thank you. We'll kind of do an experiment.
What?
All right, Tom says host blocked audio. That's weird. Well, town hall would be host. I don't know. I would have thought it was Peter.
All right. Can anyone hear me now?
Yes.
Yes, can hear you
Oh.
now.
Hi, Peter.
Jeez.
Okay,
I
I'm
just-
in.
Yes, can hear you.
Well, it's funny. It's still not, it's really weird. It's still not coming across the way my Zoom normally does. I have no idea why. But let me, I'm just looking at who's on the call. We got, hey, Judy. We
Hi.
got Tom, Judy, Pan, and myself. So we have a quorum. I don't see. I don't see. Oh, thanks, Wayne.
Wayne's here, but he's muted. He's,
All right,
can you unmute him?
My view.
You might want to, Tom and Wayne, you might want to disconnect and try to get back on. That's what did it for me.
Yeah. All right. So I have 3 screens I'm working from. So this is going to be fun. All right, so we have a quorum. Sorry, that light is shining like right behind my head. Let's see if I can move my computer a bit. All right. So we'll just wait a few to see if when everybody gets back on, and I apologize.
Okay, I figured out the glitch. The glitch is that if you mute yourself, then you cannot unmute yourself.
Oh, great.
Oh,
Yeah, so I had to disconnect. I muted myself and then I tried to unmute myself and then I had to disconnect to get back on.
All right, I'm in again. Am I hearing people? I'm hearing
Yep.
you. Me.
yep.
Oh, all right. We're in
Don't
there.
unmute, don't mute
Yep.
yourself.
Mute or unmute? Okay.
Do not.
I mean, we don't need to. As typical, there's not a whole lot of people here, so it's not like we need to unmute. Let me see if,
If you hear kids screaming in the background, just ignore it.
okay.
Are you okay?
Oh, Dave, so Dave, you're unmuted, okay. Michelle, you can unmute if you want. Josh, Nancy, I mean.
God, completely.
All right, so let's get the meeting going. I apologize again. I don't know what it is. Every time I run a meeting on Zoom at home, it doesn't work well. I can run them at work all day long and not have a problem. So I did go through the slides and I did send them out to everybody. I should probably call up the meeting minutes. We don't have Anne Marie on, and I don't know if I don't have the meeting minutes from the last meeting.
Okay, I'm back. I now know not to mute myself. So weird.
Okay.
Oh, great job on the slides, by the way, Peter.
Yeah. So one of the things that I have been thinking about over the last week or so is when it comes to the presentation, I think one of the problems that we've done, at one point we gave too much information. And then at another point, we scaled back and we kind of shrunk everything down and we targeted our results. And I think it opened us up for a lot of questions and a lot of understanding that I think people, especially ones that have attended our meetings, most of the meetings that we had attendance were towards the end where we essentially had already, gone through all of our work. So one of the things that I had thought about is when we have a meeting with the selectmen is to literally go back and provide all the information. One is the selectmen, this is a new body of selectmen. So, Josh has been attending, so I know he's seen it, but I don't know that Mark and Gene have had the opportunity to fully see it. So I'm wondering if it makes sense to literally go back and expand on everything. And I want to, I guess I want to call up, I'm going to share my screen. Hopefully that won't like screw things up.
No, I just think I bumped myself.
And pull up slides. Can you guys see my screen?
No.
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 Oh, something's starting.
Okay.
All right, there we go.
All right.
Yep.
So, obviously we have the basic, the basic, slides that we've had, our objective, existing site conditions, as you've seen, I've kind of scaled those down, which I think are fine. One thing I did add is the interest. I think people need to know that we paid, $762,551 in interest already, and that brings our total, if you include the purchase price, our outlay is 2.86 million. And I think that's important for people to understand that, we continue to pay interest and this land has cost us more and more, this hasn't changed. So when I got into the work plan, every time I brought this slide up, everybody was like, oh, I can't read it, it's too small. So what I did was I took each phase and I blew them up into one slide. And I thought that by sharing, like going through the process, slide by slide, phase by phase, I think people would understand more, what we were looking at, what we were doing, how we were doing it, the type of information that we collected, and the kind of the same thing with the criteria, although the criteria I think people can read, I would go through them a lot as well. So that was my first thought on kind of trying to get out there that, hey, we didn't just sit down in a room and have discussions. We collected data and our discussions were based on, listening to the real estate agents tell us different things, and talking to developers and looking at tax, tax information. I found in my log of things, the spreadsheet of the financials that I had put together, or we had put together some time ago. And I don't know if that's worth bringing in. But how does everybody feel about that?
I think, oh, sorry, Judy.
No.
I think that it's a good idea. But I think that your opening phrase when you do this presentation should be, over the course of 4 years and 50 plus meetings, this is our conclusion, like open with that.
Right.
So, you know,
Right,
from the get-go, so that it's clear to people, that, you know, I mean, before you even get into this nitty-gritty, that, this is not some kind of hasty decision,
Right,
that we've
right.
made.
and that's kind of what I was aiming for.
Right, and I think definitely, it's good to include all of this, background in your presentation, but I think, you know, you should open with that statement so people know, because people don't,
Right,
you know, clearly people don't have the whole picture.
right. Okay,
So I
I'm
agree
writing
with
notes.
Pam that your opening statement is going to be critical. I really do
Yep.
like the blowout of each of the individual slides of the work of how the work was done, because you're right.
Right,
We've gone back and forth a couple of different times. That slide is busy. People don't get it, but I do think it's important for them to understand all the pieces that went into these decisions, and you know, it's a fine line between too many slides and not enough information. We just haven't hit the sweet spot yet.
right, exactly. And that's, you know, and again, I think because we're presenting to you know, a new group of selectmen, it's a good opportunity. I know that the last group of selectmen have at least seen, you know, the majority of what these slides are. And there's other people, you know, there's other people on the call and other people in town that have seen those slides as well. And I think the other thing is letting people know, you know, we're reiterating this or re-showing this so that we, you know, can get the word out. Because that's the idea of meeting with the selectmen, is not only to give information to the selectmen, but we think the audience is historically larger at selectmen meetings. So, all right. So anyone else have a comment? Nothing? All right. So the other thing that I saw or heard a lot of, and again, it was a small group of people who were on our call, but I think that's going to represent the larger group at, you know, town meeting and the larger group at other meetings, you know, the meeting with the selectmen. So the other thing I did was I put all the options back in, or at least the 12 original options. And again, it's more to show people, because, you know, we had people, well, did you look at, you know,
Yeah,
selling
right.
off enough houses to pay the loan? Did you look at renting the houses to pay off the loan? Did you look at, you know, this? Did you look at that? So I think by, you know, and they're just two slides. However, what I did here is I expanded and I took, and I would say this at the beginning, that to show you how we got to our conclusion after looking at all the data, and pull up, you know, okay, tear all the houses down and turn into open space. And essentially the red box is kind of how it's scored. I mean, basically it scores high on character, fits with the neighborhood. Everybody in the neighborhood would love open space. It would comply with zoning, and it would have a minimal impact on the neighborhood. But the financial impact is, you know, of not having funds to pay off the loan, long-term tax revenue. So basically this gets into showing people how we did our work and how we came to the conclusion. I don't know if it's simply the red box, or do we need the bullet points underneath to kind of expound on that? I'm just not sure. I don't know if it's a simple, you know what, this is why this option was taken off the table. It
I
does
think it's
nothing to
important to have
address the housing needs.
Peter, it's important to have the bullets, right? Because the box is too much. So
Right, okay,
here's but this is why it didn't work. I think that's important.
okay. And
Oh,
so,
can I just add, Peter, that in
Yep.
addition to in addition to what you put here, I think we should put bold at the bottom, costs to the town, a loss of, the entire loan. So put it, if you put it in financial terms, why, so it, at the very bottom, we should say, okay, so the cost of the loan, what do we have, like 1.8 outstanding?
Yeah, it's
Okay,
basically
and then-
2.86
Okay.
is what the interest and I mean, think about it. If, we paid 762,000 in interest on a piece of property that we're basically going to lose. Actually, it would be 2.1, 2.8.
Okay, 2.8 plus the demo costs, plus tax revenue, and plus the cost to upkeep. So a minimum cost to the town, 3.1 million or whatever, you know what I mean? Like something
Yep.
to that effect, so that there's a real clear delineation at the bottom, like this is why this
Right.
option wouldn't work. It not
Right.
only do we, not only is the town not making money, but our in loss is actually, in excess of $3 million.
Okay, all right. That's a
You
good
see,
idea.
do you guys think that makes sense? Just so that it's very clear
Yep.
to people.
Right. I mean, I know we've been accused of, well, it's all you guys ever think about is money, but what they don't understand is, and that's one of the things I want to focus on the criteria is, yes, we look at money, but we also look at the impact of the neighborhood. Yes, this would be a great impact. This would be great for the neighborhood. It would, open space in the neighborhood and zoning and all that. However, the financial impact to that, like, do you want to go, the folks in the neighborhood that benefit, do you want to put up the $3 million to make it happen? I mean, I'm not going to say that, obviously. But
Right. No, but I mean, I think that if,
Good.
some of the, like that would be a very, very clear dollars and cents explanation as to why this option
Right,
isn't viable.
right.
My only comment is, I think you want to make sure if you're going to do financial on each of these, or even on some of these, it should be apples and apples. I don't know at what point you're going to start from, but essentially the town could have been paying down this principal all along.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
They've just been putting it into the general fund.
Right.
So, I mean, I don't know how you're going to deal with that, but
I think we just have to
Well-
take a today's snapshot.
Yeah, but if
Yeah.
you also,
that's awfully
if you look at
simplistic.
the top bullet, the top bullet I have, loss of current operational dollars. I mean, and I think I'll speak to it and say, we're not going to get any upfront sale money. We wouldn't get any future tax revenue from the houses that would be there. And by the way, the rental income, we've been using approximately $120,000 in our operating budget for the town. So not only are we going to basically take a piece of land, essentially we're going to pay close to $3 million for a piece of land, but we're also going to lose this operational income, and hopefully like the future tax revenue was going to kind of help offset that. But we're going to lose all of that. So yeah, that's kind of, but you get the overall idea. And just to, as I said, I picked a couple of these, and I picked these for a particular reason. And the next one is because somebody said, well, okay, don't just tear the houses down. If you rent the houses until you pay off the loan, and again, all of the positive things about, transitioning to open space is good. However, you have the financial part of it, but you also have the fact the current loan is due in 2024 with a balance of 1.8 million. Yes, we can refinance, but we don't know what the interest rate's going to be. So, this was the avenue that I took. Again, we're not going to, I don't think it's necessary to go over each option and why we decided not to use them. So I did, tear them down and open space, and then, you know, sell enough houses for open space. Again, I took the same, kind of the same logic and the same route. And tried to bring in, so just so you know, all of the comments that I put in to either the red box or the bullet point, I took from our other slides. I just reconfigured them. I took them from 2 or 3 different previous presentations that we did. I did the September one, the selectmen meeting from like 2 years ago, just to get like the information to look right and feel right.
Peter, I'm
And
having a hard time hearing you. Anybody
are
else
you?
having?
Oh, you know what? How about now?
This is better.
Is it better now?
Yes.
Yeah, you know
it's
what it is?
better.
I was leaning. I was leaning over away from my computer. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay.
Is it okay now?
Much better. Thank
Yeah,
you.
it sounds better.
Okay. All right. So, and then the last thing is I took sell as is restrictions. Actually, yeah. So I was going to do some of them. I wasn't sure if anyone had any other, like this one here was the, remember we discovered that even if we reduced the lot sizes, we weren't going to be able to get extra houses. I just thought I would show this one because it kind of, it can't be done. So, you know, I just figured, you know, due to the we'd let people know that it can't be done. But it also make, you know, difficult to sell lots. The lots would be non-conforming to zoning bylaws. So I wanted to kind of look at a different aspect of why something got eliminated.
I think this
And
is
before,
good.
yeah, and before, let me see, the one before it, oh, this was just sell as is. I may take this one out because it kind of follows the same routine as the others, but it's already made. I may just leave it in. One of the things I wanted to say too was Judy had sent me an email, and it's funny because I think I had already had a conversation with Anne Marie about this, but when we do the selectmen's meeting, I mean, I've been talking at all of the meetings, and you know, I'm the chairman, and you know, it's one of my kind of duties. But I think one of the other things that would be helpful is to hear from other committee members. So as we go along, not to just hear my voice all the time, but you know, when we start talking about, I don't know, this, you know, we looked at the 9,500 square feet, you know, maybe there's something that I didn't touch on or something that you feel is a little more powerful than the way that I put it. I think that everybody from the committee really, you know, could and should be part of the presentation and try and, you know, step in to add their, you know, their 2 cents, essentially. Is that kind of what you were referring to, Judy, in your email?
Gosh, I don't recall that, but and I really, that's a sign, Peter. I don't really recall that at all, but I do.
Oh, okay.
I do agree that it would be very helpful, particularly for the abutters on the committee.
Right.
Because, you know, they're speaking for the neighborhood, and certainly they've been through all of this with everybody else. Again, it doesn't show that someone from different parts of the town came in and decided to make a decision about that town.
Right.
But it would be good to have a backup. I mean, you're eloquent. You do a very nice job. You never lose your temper. Sometimes it's hard not to lose your temper. I at this point, and I've only had 3 years into it, I take it personally because we've spent so
Yeah.
much time. But you do a really nice job. There's nothing to say that I don't think you can't carry, but I think it would be very helpful to have the abutters specifically talk.
Yep. Yep, absolutely. And you know, and Judy, you do represent the FinCom, and you know, having kind of the voice of FinCom, like, yeah, I don't know how this plays into, you know, balancing the budget or needed funds to do, you know, a sewer project or whatever, but all of that is like good context. I mean, we all know, you know, there are things out there that the town needs to do, and you know, I'm not saying that we're, you know, flat broke and we can't do them, But it certainly is a nice windfall that, you know, maybe other things can be done that we might have had to put off.
Well, we were talking about that last night because we're trying to figure out how we could possibly earmark earmark the money. And let's only ask something, Peter. The information that went into the warrant article, is that the committee's warrant article, or was that the Board of Selectmen's warrant article? Who drafted the article?
I did.
Okay,
So it's our article. It's our article that
article.
goes, it basically goes along with, we're making our recommendation to the selectmen. And as a part of our recommendation, we're making the motion that the selectmen take our recommendation and run with it.
So
Okay.
Because
if I could get in, Judy, and I'm on the FinCom too, Peter, and
Yep.
I think
Welcome.
step out there and try to speak for what we discussed last night as a committee, the FinCom committee. We'd like to see it addressed, the proceeds of the sales, because we want to try to make sure that the debt is paid off and that the proceeds of the sales don't roll into the operating funds of the town and just kind of, you know, take the place of the rents that we're getting now and just kind of become part of the revenue stream. We'd rather see the debt retired and then, you know, there's going to be some amount of profit, if you will, or extra money. And some of this is a sunk cost, you know, the interest has been paid by the town as we've gone along, you know, and so we'd like to see that kind of language. We came up with a sketch of it, but added to the article itself, which has enforceability to it. So if the article is passed by the town meeting, then, you know, then it has to happen because it's part of the law. So, Judy,
Right.
did I get that right, or? Oh,
I think
she's
she
on.
muted herself, so she has to disconnect
Oh.
and get back on.
But Pete, was that understandable? Did I get that out there?
Yes. Let
I-
me, hold on one second. I think I'm gonna try to unmute Judy. Did that work?
Judy, you might have to log off and
How
log
about
back in. It just takes a minute. That's what I did. I got stuck too.
Oh, wait,
Nope,
I'm
no.
back.
He's back.
Well
Oh,
done.
You're unmuted.
Thank you very much. Yes, thank you. That was great. Right, that's what we're trying to do. And what we're trying to figure out too, though, is you know, I understand that the purview of this committee is to give a recommendation about what to do with the property. That's the purview of the committee. So we can't, as a purview of the committee, we can't tell the town how to spend the money. But as a finance committee, we can make recommendations. Although, if we, I don't know, I'm mixed in between on that, Dana. What do you, can we, if it's a Coast Guard recommendation, we can't change the warrant article then, can we?
Well, I guess we're in a journey to
So,
find that out, I guess, you know, which is, can we?
all right, so let me just take, I do know this, that when they were getting ready to do the warrant article and everything, you know, our verbiage is what it is. And have the books gone out to print yet?
No.
No, I mean, there's time to change it.
So wait a minute. Yeah, exactly. That's what I was just going to say, Dana, is I know that in talking with Tony, he said that at any time we could go to the selectmen and the selectmen can reopen the warrant for, you know, verbiage changes and things like that. So I'm going to pull up my screen again. And I want to go to the recommendation. So again, you know, this is a typical slide, and I'll get to the highlighted area in a minute. But for us, what we're recommending, which does kind of take into what you're saying, is require that the loan and associated costs for the sale of the property be paid off first with any profits from the sale. So we're, as
Yes,
our committee's recommendation, we're basically saying, whatever you do, you got to pay this off first. And in fact, I think Dan Scripps said, as part of the loan, he believes you would have to pay the loan off anyways. That's a legal, but we don't want to, we don't want the rest of whatever this project costs to be for them to go out and get another loan. So I'm wondering if we should reword this. I'm looking to see if there's, like, require that the loan and associated costs for the sale. I guess that covers it. I mean,
Right, I
'Cause
mean,
we're
we
gonna-
could the sale and for the setup and the sale of the property.
yeah, I would actually
Loan-
put that first too, Peter. I would make that your first bullet and, highlight it.
Agreed.
okay. Well,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Peter, just to remind you, last time you met with the selectmen, they basically said, that we had this in, they said, yeah, put that in, put in stop signs, sidewalks, whatever, whatever we were recommending, parking, and include
that's-
all of that. We just,
Yeah, but all of that stuff is required, by the subdivision. That's already legally, done, because this is gonna be a subdivision, and it has to follow those rules.
But you think we don't want to leave it implied, you want to be very explicit about what,
I'd like to be very specific.
so
All right,
if
so,
it wouldn't, then I guess if it's going to be done, it doesn't matter, but we could start out with require that the loan and associated costs, including the
Everything up to disposition, yeah.
what's the word I'm looking for?
Well,
The
when I say that, so
for
I'm
preparation.
just wondering, I'm wondering on the require the loan and associated costs for the sale. Should I put the demolition?
Yeah, it's for the
Leveling
preparation,
and
yeah, including
would.
all preparations for lot sale. Preparations for, associated costs for the preparation and sale of the property. To
And
be,
one other thing too, Judy, that Allison mentioned last night was that it's her opinion that it's, according to the state law, it has to go into the general fund anyway. So if we just, rather than get it too complex here, just put in the loan and associated costs have to be paid before any other appropriations with the proceeds from the sales. And I think that's helpful if it's just basic, right to the point.
Right. So the other, I guess the other part of that is, as far as Judy, I think you had sent me an email with bullet points where FinCom was recommending, like, paying off other high loan, other high interest loans. And I mean, I think that's a great idea. However, I remember, I thought it was Cal Hastings, maybe, from the planning, had mentioned something about, like, replenishing
drifting
a
again.
rainy day fund, or,
We really can't hear you, Peter.
oh, I'm sorry. You know what it is? I keep looking at my phone and leaning towards my phone like I'm talking in my phone and I'm talking into my computer. So I don't know if it was Cal Hastings or somebody. I thought it was him from the planning board that had mentioned at one of these meetings that taking the funds and, they needed to replenish, like, a rainy day fund or some other, some other type of, I don't want to call it a slush fund, but something that the town needs, reserve fund maybe.
Right.
Right, but I think it's still, and I made this, we talked about this last night. I think this is outside the purview of the committee.
Right, I do too. I think we can, because we're dealing with the loan and the preparation of the lots and things, I believe that is in our purview because it's part of this project. But I don't think for us to say, hey, we want you to pay off the next highest, loan that the town has, and we want you to, build a new school or whatever with the profits. I think we could do it. The problem is, I think that you're going to have people that are going to say, well, hey, wait a minute. What if we need money to fix a sewer system and you want us to build a new school?
Well,
I think it makes it
that's what
too
I'm afraid of.
controversial.
I'm afraid
Yeah,
that we'll
no,
get caught where that money's going to go. We get caught up into this and this won't pass because somebody's not going to care for that.
Right, exactly. Yeah. One of the things that I've learned on being on all these committees is not so much kind of proving that this is the right thing, but sometimes it's more like limiting your exposure to people, bringing, like, example, we were renovating the school and we had an ability to put in a windmill. And the problem was that it was one of these giant windmills and we wanted the school to get renovated. And yes, it would save us a lot of electricity and we would get, financial incentives and stuff. But if we put a 350-foot windmill in Nahant, we would never get we may never get the renovation done. So we chose to avoid the controversy, if that makes sense. All right. So is everybody comfortable with kind of requiring that the loan and those costs be done, be, taken care of with the profits?
I think
Yeah.
it makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yep.
All right.
So
So
the next
the
thing, though,
yellow highlighted,
Peter, the next thing would be, can we add that language to the article?
I think it's already in the article, is it not?
No.
Here, let me pull up the article. Wait a second. See if the town will vote the existing house demolished.
I wonder if I can let you share.
Restrictions are no. Okay, here, let's give that a go. That sounds technologically over. Not yet.
Can you hear rattling in and out?
Can you hear me? Because I'm not able to share.
I am stopping sharing.
All right.
Are you able to share now?
No, it says host disabled participant sharing.
Yeah, I've got the article in front of me. It's not in there now.
It's not?
No.
I don't remember.
All right, so, and this is the, retain the 15-foot wide path to connect the Heritage Trail to Bailey's Hill. Retain 30-foot 9 wide track of golf course land. Is any of that in there?
Yes,
Yeah,
that's in there. It's at the 15 foot's in there, the 30 foot's there, the approximate 10 to 20 foot wide tract of land abutting Bailey's Hill, and the 8-foot strip. And to prevent overdevelopment of the Board of Selectmen begin the process of establishing a zoning overlay. I think maybe at one point we found that
Right, all right.
Maybe
All right, so
rewrote it.
I'm not sure why it's not in there. I'm gonna, just for procedural, I'm going to ask, actually, let's do this. The committee's recommendation is this, this page, basically. We know that the top bullet points are in there. The recommended minimum bid for lots, is that in there as well?
No,
It's not?
no.
can you, was it in the email that I sent you?
That you sent me?
I sent you the email with the bullet points. Did I also put the
Okay,
warrant
yeah,
article in there?
yeah, hold on a minute. Unfortunately, I can't share it on my screen because that's, that email system, I'm logged off of the day because I'm on this. I can't do both at the same time.
You know, technology doesn't do us well sometimes.
No. Well, you work for a bank and its restrictions are crazy.
Yeah.
Oh,
I
so
have it on my
here's-
screen if that helps, if I can share it.
That was the
Alright,
problem. We couldn't
so-
share screens.
So host disabled, so that's Tom right now, or is that you, Peter?
Oh, you know what? Wait a minute. So who has it? I can make them the host.
Tom, are you the host?
So Josh,
No.
you have it. You'll be share it.
I do have it. I hope it's the latest.
Josh, are you
'Cause
the
if
host?
not, I could have Dana share it. I can, now that I can
No,
just
I
make
can't-
you
I can't share
a
it.
host. All right, Dana, can you share it?
I have it in paper copy in front of me.
I do have it in
Oh.
electronic, so if you can make me the host, I could
Yeah.
share.
All right,
It's article number 20.
you're the host.
Oh, how
So you're
nice.
the host, Judy.
Okay, I'm sharing.
There you go.
Can you see my screen?
Yes.
All right, so here it is. So, the one in green is what's the actual warrant
All right.
article.
100% would be good.
You-
Yeah, I'd say somebody rewrote it.
So,
Okay, so
Pete, this is Dan again. Sorry to interrupt, but.
Yep.
And just to reiterate, what you see in the red below is what the FinCom discussed last night, and you can see the bullets first, second, third. These just suggested language that could be wordsmith and perhaps used in the article itself. The red text.
so
Well,
as a committee, because the committee sponsored the warrant article, I think what we need to do is we probably need to wordsmith what you're showing and then as a committee vote on it. Does that sound like what we need to do?
That sounds reasonable.
That does sound reasonable.
Okay, so I'm not sharing right now, but so I'm just going through our committee recommendations that we had talked about before, which is, so retain
Can you leave?
15.
You're coming in and out again, Peter.
Okay, that's, I need to move to my side to look at. And then over here.
I think
right,
mostly it's an
so
internet issue.
Our
I'm not,
recommendation
okay.
is it?
Yeah, it's in and out. It's, so I can, tell me what you want
tear
to put.
down,
Okay. Go ahead.
well, how about if I share my screen, we go through the recommendations that we have, and then we vote on it, and I can send this to you guys, and you guys can put it into the warrant article. Does that make sense?
I don't know that we can open the
there's-
warrant.
There's a couple things that I need to. What's that?
We can, as finance committee, open the warrant.
Yeah, Tony can. You can send it to Tony Barletta.
No,
have to send it to
what
Tony.
I would do, once you guys have wordsmith it, or agree to the wordsmith thing, I can send it to Tony and say, actually, Josh is on the line. Josh would be able to take the reworded warrant article and,
replace it.
let me see. I think, Dana, I think you need to make me the host.
No, I
So if
think
you
I
go
have the
to-
host.
It's Judy.
Oh, yeah, I'm sorry, Judy.
How do I do that?
It's the 3 dots in the top right corner. If you click on it, I think, of my picture, I should say,
Oh,
it's when I hover over
Got
it.
it.
Oh, wait a minute.
Yep.
Yeah,
okay. You're good.
all right. So now I can share my screen. This is crazy.
It is crazy.
All right. So this is what we've been working on for a recommendation. So, and maybe we'll just start at the top. You know, town to retain 15-foot wide path to connect Heritage Trail, yes. Town retain 30-foot, 9 wide footed, yeah, of land abutting the golf course. And
Dana,
allows
you had a
dirt road
question
access
about
to
that,
the
didn't you?
bunker. We know those are,
Yeah,
Peter,
What's
hold on
that?
just a second.
Sure.
Dana had a question about the golf course abutment.
yeah.
Okay.
I was holding off making a comment about that because I don't want to parachute into your committee at this point and, you know, open up a can of worms, as it were. But
But you had a question.
Yeah, you can ask a question.
Oh, go ahead.
so, but anyway, this 30-foot wide tract of land that's being
Yep.
ceded to the golf course. It would seem that this has some value to the town, and I wonder if it's really going to have that much of a negative effect on the golf course. I've been down there, and it's not prepared land. It's, you know, covered with rocks and a dirt path, but
It has,
you know,
it
it's
has
like,
no
it is value. It does
value
have
as far
value.
as the real estate market goes.
Yeah, maybe you, Pete, or the committee could just kind of walk us through that again and the reasons for it. It seems like that there is some value that's being given away.
Well, it's, first of all, it's not being given away because the town owns the golf course and we're just basically keeping a tract of land.
Or not.
So
right,
I'm
or
gonna
not
pull
full.
up.
Right.
I'm gonna pull up one of, so this is what we're talking about,
Right,
is this block, you see my cursor, correct?
yes.
Okay, so this is what we're talking about. And it's literally a 30-foot tract of land that is, it's the steepest part of that hill that runs from the property down. You know, it's, if you look at this fence line across the other property and across the street, it's the first 30, basically almost 31 feet out. And it's grubby land except for, there is a small section of the bottom corner where the golf cart for the first tee goes. But again, where the town would be retaining that piece of land, there's no real value to lot 10 getting that additional land. It's not going to give, it's not, no one's going to pay an extra $5,000, $1,500, whatever, for this extra piece of land because it's virtually useless. So it does give us a little bit of open space, a little bit more open space, and it does, and it's not a detriment to not being able to sell it. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, I mean, I've walked around it and it could be regraded, my thinking is, and it is, you know how it goes with land adjacent to a golf course. It's has more value. And
Right,
and
right.
and I was just thinking in terms of if it would be sold with that lot would be worth more. And I don't
No, it
think,
wouldn't.
I didn't see a lot of negativity that accrued to the
Right.
golf course by giving up that.
According to our real estate experts, it would not add much value, if any. These
Okay,
are buildable lots.
all right.
The only value in it would be the person that gets it would be able to build a slightly larger house.
Right.
And
so
I mean, there is
we don't
value
know
in
what the
that, but
value
it's not,
is. Yeah, it's not quantifiable, but I respect the committee and the work that you guys have done. And I was just questioning that one part of it. And you're right, it's land that the town owns. It's just gonna keep it and they're not gonna sell it. And we
Right,
don't have to spend any more time on it because really what
Okay.
we're concerned about is the requiring that the articles show the proceeds of the sales paying off the loan.
Right. So I believe we need to put in recommend minimum bid for lots be set at the current market value. And the reason for that is this kind of doesn't allow, we're trying to take out as much possibility for, and it doesn't have to be proprieties, but it could be the appearance of it. So, and the other thing is, we want to make sure we get the most, bang for our buck. We want to, so I believe keeping recommend minimum bid for the lots to be set. Now, when I spoke to Dan Script and did the wording, this may have been taken out because the town has to do it according to procurement laws, but I'm not sure. So my feeling is this: I would like to see this still in the wording. I'd like to see all of these things kind of as they are.
In the article itself.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, we would too. We endorse that.
Okay. All right.
Especially
And then,
this one.
so obviously require that the loan is and associated costs for the preparation of the lots and preparation and sale of the property is paid off first with any profits. We all, I think, agreed to that.
Right, in the spirit of that as well. I mean, if it needs to, the language needs to change, fine, but just as long as that's the first thing that's done
Right.
with the proceeds.
So one of the things that I want to remove is that verbiage that basically directs the town the selectmen to go to the planning board for a zoning overlay.
Can you lean back? Can you lean back in?
Sorry. I want to remove the verbiage that has the selectmen going to the planning board for a zoning overlay. I believe that we came to the agreement, and that's why it's not highlighted, that for the building to be limited for 25% floor area ratio, that we would do that through a deed restriction. And that way there's no zoning overlay that has to be voted on down the road. Deed restrictions are good for 30 years. There's actually 3 items that would be deed restrictions. Lots cannot be combined, limiting the, I know the verbiage is there for those. I don't know if it says through deed restrictions, but maybe it's one bullet point, basically, that through deed restrictions, floor area ratio would be limited to 25%. Lots cannot be combined, and recommending limiting purchases, or get rid of the word recommend and just have limit purchase to 1 lot per individual, entity, or group. And that way those 3 things are covered under deed restrictions. Does that make sense?
Peter,
Yeah, but
does that include family? Sorry, this is Dana. Does that include one individual's entity, include the same family? Could like
Yes.
a husband buy one and the wife buy the other one?
No, couldn't do that.
Okay, got it.
No, you couldn't do that, but the father could buy one and the son could buy the one next door. I mean, I guess I don't, it's more about, this is more about protecting against a savvy individual from coming in, I'll use myself as an example. So I decide to come in and buy 3 lots and tear them down and build one huge McMansion. It may still be under the 25% floor area ratio, but because I own so much property, my house is going to be this big, ugly monstrosity. Nowhere, it's hard to control things like that. It also keeps unfriendly 40B kind of at bay, where somebody could come in and buy, 5 of these properties and put up a 30-foot, high-rise apartment building, and with, 25% of them at moderate income.
Listen, I don't have a problem with that, but we've been saying for months now that we're going to have an attorney review that or confirm that that's actually going to work. That has to go on our to-do list, because just talking
It's
to
already been
Tony,
confirmed.
and Dan's script. Don't make me have that warm fuzzy.
I believe Dan Script conferred with,
Yeah, I want to
is it
see it.
J&R
I
or-
want to see it in writing. But we paid the money to get it done. I want to see it.
okay. Well,
No,
actually,
we
Tom, it
have-
doesn't matter. We've already taken a vote on it. Tom, we've already voted, well, actually, we're gonna vote on it again, but we voted to move to deed restrictions. That's why this verbiage has been changed. This is the same basic
know.
slides that we showed
I
in our last meeting.
understand that, but you keep saying that we're gonna spend our money that we have allocated for an attorney to make sure that that's actually gonna provide what we're seeking.
And the attorney that I spoke to did tell us that putting deed restrictions on it would make it so that for 30 years, nobody could, you know, build more than 25% floor area ratio or combine the
Okay,
property.
all right. Is that the attorney that we paid or we hired?
It's the one, the one that told me was the town attorney that we pay.
Okay, so let's get that document.
Okay.
Not a big deal. I don't want to have some recommendation up there and then not have the paperwork to back it up.
I thought we already had these discussions.
Yes,
But
we
we don't,
never have documents. We just have discussions. It's gonna cost so much to tear it down too, but we don't have a quote.
All right,
Somebody's
I
gonna
will
ask.
ask-
I mean, somebody's gonna ask or may ask. I just want the document.
All right, I'll have Dan's script send me email, you
Get
know,
them to, yeah.
let- all right. Let's see. All right, so those three we would combine through deed restrictions. And then when we get down to what I have highlighted was, we had discussed staggering sales. And I did mean to call Lisa Skirtis back to have a more in-depth conversation, but she was standing in line getting her COVID shot and didn't really have the ability to get into a lengthy conversation. However, what she did say is that she does not recommend staggering the sales. She believes that the current market is such that there is a large enough group of people looking to get into Nahant and people in Nahant looking to either downsize or whatever, that we should have no problem selling all 12 lots at one time. She also said that the problem with staggering sales over multiple years is, one, it definitely impacts the neighborhood over a longer period of time. If you sell houses over 3 years and the average house takes, 1 to 2 years to build, then you're looking at 3 to 5 years of, construction kind of nightmare. The other thing is there is group benefits in building at the same time, not only maybe with the same builders, but contractors get together and say, hey, I'm going to pour my foundation next week. Can you wait 2 days and my foundation will be ready and maybe they can save money. So there's some of that, although that's not a huge concern for the town. And then the other thing is,
Oh, go ahead. Sorry,
Go
Peter.
ahead.
Go ahead, finish.
I was just gonna say, and the final thing about multiple years is, right now, the real estate market is in a really good position. We have no idea what it's gonna be in 3 years. It certainly could go up, but it certainly could crash too. And her feeling was it's more likely that we crash than it is for it to keep continuing to go up. So
Right.
that's kind of in the nutshell.
I mean, my whole reason for staggering sales was, yes, I mean, obviously, you know, the influx of the lots is something to consider, but also the influx of excess revenue to the town all at once is one of my main concerns.
Oh, I'm right there with you.
I
So
mean, you think
I
they'll be so flush, they'll be goofy.
say that again.
You think that they'll spend the money less well thought if they have it all at once?
I think so. That's just, you know,
Well,
I feel like from a fiscal standpoint, what, you know, obviously the very top priority is for us to sell off enough of the homes in order to sell off, settle up the loan, right? But I don't know. I mean, I don't think that the hotness of the market is all that we need to take into consideration about staggering the sales. There's
Right.
that's only one component of it. So I don't feel comfortable taking that out just based on, you know, a real estate opinion personally, because, you know, we've
Yeah,
got.
no, yeah,
Go ahead.
I mean, the other thing is maybe we look at 2 lots of 6 or 5 and 7 or whatever, you know, like we sell enough to pay off the loan and get our finances in order for all this work to be done. And then, you know, I will say this about the fact that we're going to get this huge windfall or this, you know, sizable windfall. One is, I don't know that it really matters whether they get it over 1 year or 3 years, because yes, you may see a name or two change in the Board of Selectmen or a name or two change on the, you know, on the FinCom. You know, the town administrator is probably going to be the same. Maybe it changes halfway through, who knows? But anyone who's sitting in those positions is going to say, that's all right. You know, we got, you know, if we sold them all at once, they would say, hey, we got $4 million in the bank or $3 million in the bank, whatever it is. Or they're going to say, well, that's okay. We can spend this now because we got another $1 million coming next year with
But
the
that's
sale
not,
of the rest of the house.
yeah, but it's not a guaranteed million, you know, I don't know. I mean, I would like to just
I don't
come
think
up
it's a
with
deterrent.
I would just like to come up with something that's makes fiscal sense.
Well, I think we can request fiscal sense, but we, you know, it all goes into the general fund, Pam. We really can't stop it from anything. So I guess it's more of a question for Thomas and a butter. Could you, you know, if you're talking about construction on those lots, Peter made a really good point. If you stagger, you could have construction for the next 12 years.
Yeah, I mean, it's going to be a nightmare any way you do it. I was telling Peter a little side story the other day about they're putting in a small subdivision down the street from me in New Hampshire. And they're doing it all at once, essentially, and it's actually going, I mean, it's horribly distracting, but there is some of this partnering, and somebody's doing their foundations and somebody's doing, you know, so it is speeding it up substantially, but the traffic.
But is it all the same development company though, Tom, that's building all the houses in the subdivision? I mean, we're talking about selling 12, we're not selling this to this whole plot of land to a developer to construct the subdivision.
You know, it's going to be a nightmare. I mean, you'd be lucky to get out of town from Bass Point. Just the contractor trucks on Castle Road will probably block it. You know, and if they're doing any real work, yeah. I mean, but I have not got any comments from other people in the neighborhood, you know, and I don't know how you're going to organize it. And
I'm,
I would
yeah.
look to Wayne to see if there's any suggestion he thought about, some way to, through limiting or, staggering the building permits, if he can even do that. But the committee has never gotten to the point where we actually talked about that at any length.
And another concern of mine too, is that, we're putting these deed restrictions in. Someone with a very good attorney snaps up 3 or 4 lots, different family members or whatnot, and you just don't know what we could be dealing with.
That's
Oh,
why I want
absolutely.
something in writing.
I
I agree
Do
with
it
you.
with, you do it with a zoning overlay.
I mean, I
You
agree,
gotta,
Ken. I
you
don't,
gotta remember, when it comes to 40B, we could be looking at a 50-story high-rise and there wouldn't be a darn thing we can do about it.
I don't think
So-
we have time to prepare, or like sell a zoning overlay. That was the problem, whatever,
That's
several
exactly-
town
That's why I'm
meetings
trying
ago.
to,
See, that's why to
that's
me,
why it got shot down.
yeah, that's why to me, like, recommending staggering the sale of the lots, like it hits so many targets. It accomplishes, 3 or 4 of our goals.
We could, theoretically, we could do 2, we could actually, we could actually stagger the sales so that enough is, we have to do enough is sold off to pay for the loan. So I'm going to use
the content.
and yeah, I'm going to use 375,000 because it's kind of the midpoint of 350 and 400. Let's see.
If we were to sell, I recommend that they sell every other lot. That would pay off the loan, right?
would it pay off the loan and cover the cost of clearing the land and pulling those oil tanks?
Probably.
That's the other. Yeah, it's basically 160 to clear the lots, 1.8 on the loan. Let's call it like, I'm gonna call it 2.1 million just for, to get a round number.
So then we have another 150K left, conservatively to deal with the oil tanks.
Exactly. That's what I'm, thinking about: oil tanks, leveling, any of asbestos removal, any of that stuff if we run into it. So 2.1 million is what is needed to, the legal fees for the deeds and all that, for the subdivision to happen. And I'm gonna divide that by 375,000. 5.6. So yeah, 6 houses basically puts us in. So, we could stagger sales of every other house over a 2-year period. We could put that in, and that gives us, one, it condenses the time period so that hopefully we don't run into a market problem where it crashes or whatever. And it protects us against the 40B, and it spreads out the kind of the income into 2. Does that make sense?
I would feel comfortable with that. As you can, see from my perspective, that will protect the town on a few different fronts.
Well,
40B, you know,
yeah.
the influx, and then, 6 houses at once, not everyone's gonna start construction at the same time. Some will, some won't, and then, it's, at least it breaks it down in half in terms of the onslaught to the neighborhood.
Well, it's
All right,
gonna,
well,
hopefully it would be bare land. I mean, that is one element. When you do the contouring, you really should do the whole site.
Yeah, no, it has to be the whole site.
Yeah, yeah,
We would,
Because
yeah.
there's road implication and drainage and all
Yeah.
that stuff. Sidewalks.
I think that over a 2-year period makes more sense than staggering all for any period of time. So that's good. And Tom's right, of course. That's why I asked about how much do we need to sell, because we have to clear the land, level it, all the pieces parts. So I think that would be, but over a 2-year period, it's better and different than what I was thinking, which was one every other year or something like that.
that would take forever.
Right,
Yeah.
We wouldn't even be able to pay the loan in time.
right. That's what I was thinking.
So what's the best way to, why are we staggering sales? To reduce the risks of,
Overdevelop, 40,
All the deed
risk of
restrictions
40B.
that we don't trust.
what's that? I would say overdevelopment. We can, just as a general term, and we can speak to it as, where,
Hey, I think we would need to be careful about how we speak to it, right? So you're
right,
right.
because the 40B, it's the elephant in the room.
Right.
Everybody sees it, but we're not really supposed to discuss it. But the risk of overdevelopment,
How about neighborhood congestion? Or some
yeah.
terminology along that point.
Well, yeah, that's gonna be a nightmare.
Anyway, right.
Yeah, I don't see any way to avoid it.
But yeah,
Can
go
I
ahead.
1 second? Are we not, are we getting too much into the minutia of how these pieces of property are gonna get sold? That it's kind of not where we were, not our part of our assignment.
Well, I
Do we
think
really-
that's how we
really
wound up.
Get deep into that.
Well, yeah, but we're trying to avoid, in this particular case, Wayne, we're trying to avoid the fact of Wayne Wilson buying 4 lots and putting up a condo unit. And I know there's obviously zoning bylaws against
I
that, but
understand what we're trying to avoid. I guess the point is that it's whatever entity actually sells the property, which I'm assuming is the Board of Selectmen, right? Because we still has to go through this town-owned land committee thing,
Yep.
correct?
Yep.
So, there's a lot of layers of, we could suggest a lot of things. If they decide to do something different, it's really not gonna, not gonna have a leg to stand on to tell them they can't.
I
Is
actually
that-
think that's where we came to where we were before. And again, we need to be careful about what we put in here because we don't want to make anything, we don't want to make it so that they're not going to say yes because they don't like it.
right.
Yeah, I
Right. Are
don't,
we adding too much?
I don't think we want to put so many of our own restrictions in here that all of a sudden you lose the whole project.
I myself was, I'm going with this 2-year staggering to appease. My recommendation would be remove the whole thing and not stagger sale. Just, we got 12 properties, go out and sell them. Let's count on the FinCom to be fiscally responsible with a large amount of money. Let's, our selectmen, our FinCom, our town administrator, not to blow through the money like drunken sailors. And hope for the best when it comes for, somebody not trying to pull the wool over our eyes and make a large house or, condo development or whatever.
But again, I think that's right at this point in time, I don't really think it's our place to say, we want you to sell every other lot.
Isn't it, but
It's
it's our,
to make that suggestion, I don't think, but to make it part of the article, I think we're overstepping at that point. I mean, I totally understand why we want to do it. And I think that's the way that's what we need to do. I just don't think we want to put so many conditions on what we're asking that it starts turning people off to the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I worry about.
Is anyone else getting that vibe? That's the vibe I'm getting. I don't
No, but
know.
what's going to be the turnoff? I don't understand.
Just give someone another reason to say, well, no, this isn't going to work. It's too many rules. I'm not sure. I'm just trying to figure.
And you get,
Well, we're putting
I was gonna,
6 lots up for sale, and then we're putting another 6 2 years later. It doesn't sound that.
so
I mean,
why don't you just say the committee recommends that, this is done over a 2-year period with alternating lots?
it's the same thing. I think it's, again, I mean, we can vote on this, on how we think we should,
I mean,
I'm trying to,
I guess
I
we
was
should
gonna
go
make
back.
I was gonna make a suggestion. I think selling every other lot, right, and get them sold, and then go back and sell the infill lots. You would know who it is that's bidding, and if we would have the right to reject any bid for any reason, essentially the town. So if obviously if the person connected to either lot, one lot on either side of that lot is someone that already owns the lot, then you just throw the bid away. I mean,
that's why I like it.
I agree, and I don't think it's a bad idea. I'm just not sure that we need that. It's out in our purview at this point in time to say, well, this is what we want done. I mean, if you want to do it, it's fine with me. I'm just not sure that it's.
yeah.
Well,
I mean,
I
I
think
think,
because that's restricting the size to some degree is part of what people in this end of town want. They don't want, another Nectar place.
I understand
right,
that.
and I think I worded it the right way, selling every other house over a 2-year period to reduce risks of overdevelopment, neighborhood congestion. I'm going to put during construction.
Right.
Or you could put construction congestion. And just take out the neighborhood because that's like implied. So here's what I want to go back to. I guess our purview as a committee is to make recommendations as to what we think is best for the town, for the selectmen to do, with this property, right? And, so I don't think that recommending that they do this is overstepping our boundaries because of the reasons that I've stated. It's not just financial. It's also from a protective, protective standpoint in terms of, we want to try to control the possibility of overdevelopment as much as we can, but still keep the lots marketable. And I don't think that selling, half of them one year and selling another half the other year is going to make them any less marketable.
No, and I want to remind you that the aesthetic sense was the highest criteria point on our, criteria. So we keep having financial be the most important, but I think we all agreed years ago, many years ago, that the aesthetic you know, not killing the aesthetics was important.
Right. No, I think that, and that's why, like, again, I was all for getting rid of the staggered sales, and that's why I'm kind of gone to kind of this wording where we're just asking to sell every other house over a 2-year period to reduce, you know, and that way it allows for some flexibility. There's, I mean,
Yeah, no, I see, you know, it doesn't seem ominous to me.
And I think you should just, and then you can, if you want to do spread windfall, then you could just say spread windfall over 2 years.
okay. So is everybody is everybody comfortable with the wording on this? Because my thought process is if Dana or Judy send me the verbiage on the warrant article, I will change it up and put all of these items in it, send it back to Tony, saying that this is what the Coast Guard Committee is recommending we change the warrant article to. Is everybody comfortable with that?
Yeah,
Yes.
I just have a question about, did you want to put that loan or the, you know, the thing at the beginning? You might
Yeah.
have to change the
Yes,
wording slightly
I'm not
to,
gonna do it. I'm not gonna do it now.
okay, I get it.
Only too much thought goes into rearranging.
Yeah. How it flows. I get it.
But yes, I will put this at the top. I've actually put it in a little bit bigger font, and I'll leave it that way so that it stands out.
Yeah.
But essentially, right now I'll entertain a motion to approve the committee
Wait.
recommendations.
Wait, sorry, just one point of discussion. If we cannot clear up those deed issues, we may only be able to get 11 houses in. Do you want to say approximately 12 or what? Or do you
I
just,
thought that we were going to continue with the 12 and then put in a blanket statement of in some point of the presentation or in the article to say, you know,
assuming deed
Exactly.
deed is cleared? Okay. all right.
exactly,
I forgot about that.
Yes.
exactly.
yeah,
That's
when
what
we
I think we had
present-
decided.
All right, sorry.
Yeah, because when we present the town meeting, you know, obviously this will come up as the warrant article or the whatever. We'll get up and make the recommendation. At some point, we can say, you know, we did all of our work on 12 because we have 12 existing houses and we believe we can get 12 lots. But there may be some abnormalities with the deeds that may restrict us, and maybe we can only get 11 houses.
Yeah.
But we certainly didn't get any more.
No.
All right.
Okay,
So again, I'll entertain a motion that we accept this as our recommendation and this to be put into the warrant article.
I'll make
And-
that,
Sorry. Okay, I just had one question. So Dana and Judy, as members of FinCom, you know, this is your opportunity to tell us if you think that we're putting in too much information.
not
into,
enough.
Yeah,
Gosh,
so what's
guys,
the feedback?
I'm happy. I actually like to hear what Dennis has to say because I'm betwixt in between. We pull out, we put in, I don't know. I just want them to agree that we may do something. Dana, what do you think?
Judy, thanks for asking, and thanks to the committee for listening to us, by the way. I feel that Yeah, some edits I think would benefit the proposal overall as it's presented to the town meeting. But going back to what, what the FinCom is thinking about the loan provisions and the payback provisions on the loans, if that's mentioned as the first priority, I think a lot of people in town will appreciate that and be on the side of supporting it. In terms of the technicalities of how it's going to roll out and affect the neighborhood, I would, defer to whoever's been studying this for several years, the committee, and think that you guys have gone through this and hopefully do the best you can.
Thank you. We appreciate you joining us and giving it, during this whole process, we've had so little input from other folks, not by our choice. It's, we appreciate getting input.
Yeah, I can say also that the FinCom definitely respects the work you guys have done and knows that it's a big endeavor for your committee. And, we think that there could be some opposition out there to this recommendation in the town meeting, but I think you've covered a lot of the issues and the loan is going to be a big one. So if that's paid off, I think that the town meeting is going to go for it.
Yeah, I hope so. Again, that's why the getting in front of the selectmen again, hopefully, maybe more advertisement up front and I did talk to Tony and request that the meeting actually be separate from a typical selectmen meeting. One, to maybe entice more people to watching, not that selectmen meetings are, boring or whatever, but just by putting it on the lit sign at the end of the causeway, meeting on Coast Guard housing, to get more people informed. Because I think people are going to disagree. I mean, one of the things when I remember 4 years ago walking into the room and there were different committee members at the time, everybody had a different idea of what they thought should happen with those houses, including myself. I'm like, sell them as they are, tear them down, make open space. Everybody had a different idea. And at the end of the day, we took this approach to get an unbiased opinion on what's the best for the town. And hopefully, we know we can't make everybody happy, but hopefully people will see that, yes, you may want something different, or you may think something different would go there that might be better. But you're going to affect some other part of the equation.
Right.
So-
Your committee has had to balance a lot of interests around town, and it's a tough job. One thing came to mind
Right.
as we were just talking here, is the risk associated with the oil tanks. So I know that you're talking about $200,000 to prepare the lots for sale. You might want to consider making sure you have insurance. Well, the town has insurance in case there's some groundwater leakage of the oil, because that can be 6 figures of damage for cleanup.
Oh, easy.
So,
We could, every bit of our profit, every bit of the money could be gone in an instant if those tanks are leaking. I will say this, one of the recommendations we made 3.5 years ago to the selectmen, to the
Was to get the
original
oil tanks out.
get them out now, and they did nothing. The second thing was that we should be going back to the US government and saying, you know what, cradle to grave, you put them in, you take them out. And see if we can, I know the Dan Script did talk to a few people in the government, and they did say, well, you continued using them, so they belong to you. But I would think that, it's hard to fight City Hall, but I would think we could, if there's a major leakage and it costs us a lot of money, the first thing I would recommend is that the town go after the US government to, fund the cleanup. And I think Dan said there was a way that they might fund some of it anyways, but he wasn't sure.
Can I ask another question? And again, Judy and Dana, you tell us, where you think it should be, I would like to put very clearly in the article, this loan, right, like this loan expires in 2024. But I don't know if that should go in the article or it should go in FinCom statement. Because I think that people might
Yeah,
miss that.
Yeah, Pan, it could be it's your article, I guess. And so it would certainly, be worth mentioning to pay off the loan, that you could put that as one of the bullets in the article. It says, the first priority is to pay off the loan, which matures in 2024. And it's for.
How do you committee members, how do you feel about that? I'd like to put that detail in so that it's front and center.
Well,
I mean, I agree. I think that we can put that, and I'm happy to add that to the FinCom where it says pay off the debt principal for the loan. And we can put in how much that was. So I'm happy to reiterate that in my recommendation.
I don't think people are aware that we've got 3 years to deal with this. That's why I want it in either the article or I want it in FinCom's, commentary, so that it's very clear.
Are we accepting comments in general from non-committee members?
Absolutely, Josh.
So, I'm just thinking, I think, the simpler you keep the article, the better off you are. So, for example, stipulating that the funds be used to pay off this loan versus a higher interest loan or whatever the town's need may be in 2023. Obviously, the intent, I think your intent is that you do what's fiscally prudent, but what seems fiscally prudent in the context of this issue might not be what the priority is in a couple of years. So it seems like maintaining maximum flexibility would be a good thing and also enhance your probability of the article passing, I think.
I think we're legally mandated to pay off this loan before anything else.
And isn't the land there, is collateral, held as collateral on the loan, the land?
Yeah, so
Okay.
as I said earlier, having the verbiage in the warrant article, maybe the reason that it was not in there is because Dan Script Dan Script and I went over the wording for this article, and forgive me, but it was I want to say, it was more than a year ago because it was for the warrant article last year,
Right.
for last year's town meeting. And essentially, he said, you don't even need to require that the loan be paid off because the mortgage company basically won't let you do it. I mean, the law states if, you can't have a mortgage on the, on the property and not own the property.
But it does
It's
have
basically a
political
lien.
considerations, Pete. So, I mean, in terms
What's
of
that?
getting this article passed. So I don't think it hurts the article to have it in there unless.
I don't think so
think
either.
that maybe the approach would be, keep the article simple, and FinCom, would make because FinCom is responsible for the financial recommendations, right? FinCom would make the financial recommendations about, if they recommend paying off this loan first or sequence.
Yeah, Josh, we're
Kind
gonna
of
do
stuff.
that anyway, so.
Yeah. So
And I think if I have it in both places, doesn't hurt really.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to say it, what's another bullet point, but I think, like if I look at the bullet points that are here, all right. I think everybody is pretty familiar with the Heritage Trail, and, we'll explain that we're going to keep basically the Heritage Trail instead of it being what do you call it?
Afterthought.
No, it's
It's not an easement. It would be town-owned.
Yeah, it would be town-owned property instead of walking through people's yards as an easement. That easement was the word I was looking for.
Oh,
You know,
Peter,
Yep.
one recommendation that I had, when I was looking over the slides, that, that you had sent a couple weeks ago was that
Yep.
when, in the slides, when you do the presentation, and you say things like town to retain 15-foot wide path to connect the Heritage Trail to, Bailey's Hill. If we could
Yep.
if we could label that parentheses, like exhibit A, and then like the tract of land abutting the golf course, exhibit B, and then have the, I think it was originally slide number
So
10, number 10, which, from the presentation a couple weeks ago, so that we can put it right, not that
this
one.
one here. Yeah.
Yes, and then we
It's-
just
it's
we
this one,
label
and
it A, B, and C, so that people know exactly what we're talking about.
Okay, what I may do is I may change the color of the cul-de-sac and the color of this strip of land here to
Yeah,
something
that makes
different.
sense. Yeah,
And then do exhibit A, B, and C, or 1, 2, and 3, whatever. We have
Yeah,
them labeled
just-
encroachment. But that way there, when people are able to look at it and say, oh, okay.
just so that
all right,
it's
yes,
clear
that's a
from the
good-
get-go.
Good suggestion. All right. I'm just writing notes. All right, so back to our original wording. Taking into consideration Dana and Josh's comments, do we want to change anything on this?
I think the only thing
So-
else I would say is that very clearly require that the loan, which comes due 2024.
Yep. That's the only point I was trying to get across earlier.
Because I think
the
what
amount.
happens is, you remember the, when we started this shebang,
In the amount,
was a-
please.
yeah, and in the amount, because when we started this shebang, that was a long time, but now it's not so long anymore.
Yeah, it was 2017.
Just philosophically, maybe the article should say, here's what we think the town should sell, and just along with those descriptions of the setbacks and stuff. But my opinion would be that you don't say, you say, here's what the town should sell, but you don't say, and here's what we think the town should do with that money once it's sold. Just, and leave that to the discretion of, FinCom and the town in general, as opposed to specifying what happens with that money.
So
We're gonna have
Dana
to
and
vote on
Josh
that.
are on, Dana and Josh are on separate sides of the fence here, where Josh thinks we should remove this verbiage to make it simpler, and Dana thinks we should keep it to get people supporting us to say, yeah, we need to sell it and pay off the loan. Is that how I read you both?
Yeah, but I
think-
don't disagree all that much with Josh. I just wanted to characterize it as a, friendly difference of
No,
assessment
that's, hey,
and emphasis. We do the FinCom. I don't want to just speak for myself. The FinCom wants to have this, as part of the language of the article, and then we also think that that'll help it pass.
And Josh,
All right,
I don't think all we're saying is that the loan needs to be paid off first. We're not, aside from that, we're not saying any profits should go to XYZ. I mean, we're just
Yeah,
really
it
stating
is,
legally
mean-
what has to happen anyways. The loan has to get paid first.
yeah. So do you need to state it if it has to happen anyway?
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing, like, as
Well,
far as I know you want to overemphasize the 1.8 million due in 2024. I can tell you it's in at least one, if not two other slides. And I think that, to Josh's point, we don't have to require that the loan get paid off because it legally has to be paid off.
No, I know that. I guess my
I
point
do-
actually isn't that, Peter. It isn't that to say that, you know, that it wouldn't get paid off otherwise. My point of this specifically is to remind the people that are voting for this, the town membership, that something has to be done immediately. We no longer have time to be fussing about it. So if the more you say loan due 2024, this is 2021, I think that that's the part where we can't have somebody, you know, we can't have so much discussion that somebody goes, okay, let's have a new committee. Because
Definitely
we-
agree with that, Judy. It's, it's,
it's
does
out
it
of
belong in
time.
the article or does it belong in the supporting statement or in the FinCom recommendation?
Just think it needs to be everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. I'm not, I just want to,
No, I agree.
I'm only making my comments because I would like to see the article pass. And I think, the town, needs to know what's ahead in terms, for budget planning. So,
Well, we could do it differently. We don't have to say require that the loan be paid off, but we can say the $1.8 million loan is due in 2024.
yeah, maybe that's a better way. That's actually, I like that idea. Remind people that it has to be paid off, but don't necessarily tie the town's hands on how
Oh, I
they
got it.
spend it and the sequence and so on.
Yes. Just the more, we could say that number and that date in 4 slides. So maybe
Pay
that,
off the $1.8 million loan due in 2024 and all associated costs, right? Now you're not saying require, you're just saying, pay off the loan and all associated costs with any of the profits. Does that make it a little less? No?
I don't know exactly
I
what you
think it's
changed.
it's the same thing because we start out with
yeah,
recommendation, but maybe Josh is right. So listen, he's got enough experience and we don't want to be wrong with this. So
Right.
because we call it a committee recommendation, before we
How about if we did this? How about if we did this? What if so as I said, back up here,
Can't we just make the
your
statement?
recommendation, yeah, there's nothing wrong with having a recommendation that isn't in the article, right? In other words, that is your
No.
recommendation.
No,
Well, Judy and Dana can, if for some, I mean, this, I feel like we're, sort of like getting into the minutia now. I mean,
Yeah.
either the article or the FinCom supporting statement should say that, just to remind people,
Yeah.
one or the other.
I mean, I agree. Actually, I was thinking both, but okay.
Or, I mean, I'm fine with both too, but now I'm hearing that, people think, oh, it might overcomplicate. People need to know that the loan is due in 3 years.
I agree.
right?
I
agree.
would
I
agree with
think,
that as
one,
well.
it's at the beginning of the slide. And I mean, it's one of these things like, all right.
But people
at the
aren't going to be
selectmen-
looking at the slides at the town meeting, Peter. They'll be,
No.
let-
But what I'm saying though, what I'm saying is this, that for our presentation purposes and even for the article, we, at some point in the warrant article, we can put, that bit of information that the current loan is due, 2024, and we owe $1.8 million. That can be in the article as a bullet point of information. We don't need to, and I don't, Dana, I don't know if, or Judy, would you want to pull that up again?
Yeah, I'm happy to do that. Actually, I was just making notes. So, do you want to give me
When
the
does the
ability
book
to
get
share?
published? When does the book get published, Judy?
It has
And
to go out shortly.
okay,
Yeah,
so
so
really,
that was the other thing is, if you're gonna amend the article, it's probably tomorrow night that we have to make that recommendation.
gonna-
Because we don't have any, our understanding is FinCom's book
Running
needs to go
tight.
to print at April 9th, right? And so
Josh,
there
is
are
this something
no,
I can get to? Is
So
this something I can get to Tony Barletta tomorrow?
yeah, yeah. So,
Okay.
so tomorrow night, we're gonna open the article, make the changes and then close it. And then, I think it's April 9th, FinCom is gonna go to print. And there's not gonna be any more Board of Selectmen meetings between now and the 9th. So tomorrow is the opportunity, if you wanna change the article wording, get it into Tony tomorrow and we can do it tomorrow night. But, yeah, so that's,
Peter, I emailed
Alright,
you the
so-
warrant article information. You already have that. I'm not able to
Okay.
share, so that's okay.
Okay,
Um,
all right. So let me just go back to, this.
so really what, I mean, we've been working on the presentation, but really what we need to flush out definitively is it, and we've been working on the slide as a template for the warrant article, but really we have to focus on the warrant article.
That's right.
I
That's
would
right.
agree with that, yeah.
Hold on. Give me I'm moving you guys around. Let me see if I have that.
That's a pretty picture.
Yeah, what's that red dot?
That's my house. I took this picture coming back from one of my business trips. It's actually a star, by the way.
That's funny.
What am I looking for? Housing. I'm looking to see if I have so many files that.
So while Peter searches, I'm trying to think of, my comments are only at easing the passage of the article and making sure the town has the flexibility to make the financial decisions that are best for that particular moment in time. So I just hope nobody thinks I'm being an obstructionist. I'm trying to.
No, not at all.
We're grateful. Listen, we're grateful for the advice. Absolutely. Even the clock's ticking. So we are grateful for the advice. And the town meeting is going to be long and it's going to be a lot and people are going to be already pretty
Yeah.
geared up. So,
I mean, and this was a tough one because, I think those slides that showed, what was considered by this committee are important because, this is one of those topics where everybody's going to have their own idea, and you can have 100 different ideas, right? So it's not like some things where it's a yes or a no. This is like, oh, what about this? What about that? What, there's, hundreds of choices. So,
agreed.
Josh, your points are well taken,
Right.
and I think you're right. There's a lot of opportunity to try to reopen all the topics that the committee has spent years.
yeah.
And our idea about getting the article to contain the language is not going to change what the town can do because the provisions of the loan payback, once the land is sold, if what we hear in this meeting is correct, then those proceeds have to go to pay off the loan first. But I don't think it's going to change the relationship for the town in terms of spending the proceeds.
Yeah. I think you're right.
So Peter, if you look at the email I just sent you, the draft of the warrant
Yep.
articles in there, so you don't have to start from
All right.
scratch, I guess.
All right, so. Well, no, here's the problem, Judy. I am not online because
Oh,
if I go online, I can't be a
Right,
host to
right.
this meeting
All
because
right,
it's
so
not the bank Zoom system. So,
but I can
um,
fix this for you. I think that I can send you the warrant article information via the chat function. How's that?
oh, that would be a good.
Let me try that. That way you can pick it up and just
So I
paste
won't
it.
have to read it. Is that what you're saying?
Unless of course that makes you, but there. I just sent it to you via chat. So why don't you pick it up and put it in, start there. Should be a cut and paste if you're lucky. Did I lose you?
No, I'm here. I'm just waiting for you to send it.
I did. It's in the chat function.
Oh, I got to scroll down.
Hmm.
Let's see. I got it. Oh, beautiful. Not all of it came through, but
Really?
let's.
It stopped at and to prevent over dev.
Develop.
Oh, well, let me look. That could have been operator error. Huh.
Yeah, that's all right.
It's up to present.
All right.
Oh, there's not much left. Maybe it's a restriction. Here's the rest of it. And that word, by the way, is development.
All right. Great.
That's what it looks. That's a draft now in there.
Okay.
But Peter, I'm thinking that maybe, as I recall, remember we were going to put this up in September, and I think the legal counsel did write this.
I know we did. I was with him.
Oh,
And so let me get if I can get both of these up. I don't know if you're going to have trouble seeing them or not. Oh.
So Judy, what you've shown in the chat is the article as written right now?
yes.
Yes.
Okay.
So essentially, we have the 15-foot wide path, the 30-foot 9, abutting of the golf course. Bailey's Hill, and then 8-foot strip of land on Castle Road and Gardner Road. I'm wondering, I thought at one point we talked about just basically saying clearing all, to make it less confusing, just clearing all, clearing all deeds or whatever.
Oh, you want to add that wording? What was the wording that we talked about? Oh, subject to any title issues being resolved. That's the wording that we discussed at the last meeting.
So would we get rid of this approximately 8-foot strip of land and just put, let's see. So would we put that in? I'm going back up here. The land is subdivided per the plans presented. Individual lots be sold with restrictions. No single entity can purchase more than one lot. Lots cannot be combined, while retaining the following areas within the property. Now so we don't even have like 12, we're not even recommending that 12 lots be.
Why couldn't we put in 12 individual lots?
Right. Yeah, this doesn't make sense because it doesn't.
All we need to
say-
do is
and-
put
and
12
again,
in front of individual.
Yeah, I mean, this doesn't look at all like what we approved way back then.
You don't think it's what was
12
approved for
individual lots
September?
be-
No, well, it doesn't look like it to me. It looks like there's been some wordsmithing on it.
Dana, did I pick up the wrong one?
I think this is it.
See, I think that this is one that was originally planned for September.
How about this? And subject to, what did you say, Dan? Subject
Subject to any title, let me go back to it. Subject to any title issues being resolved. So then if we put that in, can we delete the approximately 8-foot strip of land?
Yes. Yep. So, let's see.
I wouldn't do that.
Subject to, eight, yeah.
Because if the
I don't know
title
why it's
issues
doing
are resolved, then that's not an issue.
Right, so we can get rid of this because we have this. And subject to any title issues being resolved, 12, I mean. Yeah, I'm fine with changing that.
You might as well correct the spelling of Bailey's Hill while we're at it too. I think it's missing an E.
So, all right, so now the bottom, so I'm gonna eliminate this highlighted section. And to prevent overdevelopment, the Board of Select, how about to prevent overdevelopment, deed restrictions, right? I know it's,
Oh, this is totally inaccurate because it says something about a zoning overlay.
right, well, that, remember, this was written 2 years ago, or not 2 years ago, a year, well over a year ago. Because we had talked about, originally we were going with a zoning overlay, and then we had discussions to change it, and this never got updated.
Okay.
The floor area ratio. I'm gonna have to go back and fix this. All right, how's that? So, let's see.
And to prevent over.
To prevent overdevelopment, deed restrictions be placed on each deed to limit the maximum floor area ratio for these lots to 25%, or take any other action relative thereto, which is, it's not for this, it's the way it's written, but this or take any other action relative thereto is not just for that one sentence. It's for the whole article. It's how they end all of these articles.
Okay,
So we have these three things in there. Recommend minimum bid for lots. I think Dan said we didn't need because it was part of the procurement laws that you can't accept the low, you can't accept low bids. No, that didn't make sense. I mean, we could add this in if you want. There was a reason that we took it out.
no, I think we have to accept the,
That's
No.
gonna be, that's subject to the procurement law, so we couldn't, and
Right.
we could stipulate that anyways.
Right.
right, I think that was
So
it.
at this point, we have the lots can't, well, all right, I'm gonna highlight the ones. This is in there, this is in there, and this is in there.
You wanna put another E in another Bailey's Hill and put an S
yeah.
behind deed restrictions.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go and,
Good catch.
so we don't
Thank you,
need
Josh.
the, what's that?
Josh just sent a note. He's saying he has to drop off and that they'll work on the wording tomorrow night. They could change the wording when they open up the warrant tomorrow.
Okay, to limit overdevelopment, we got this. Lots can't be combined. This part of it is in there. We don't need recommend minimum bid, but we're gonna, when we make our recommendation on the slides, we're going to have it in there just to have it in people's minds. So the last question becomes staggering of sales.
Peter, this is Dana. Can I ask a question here?
Yep.
Is the loan provision payoffs going to be included in the article? I don't know if I missed something, sorry.
I think we're gonna get to it, but I don't believe it's required in the article. It's actually not required. When I say it's not required because they have to pay off the loan. However, we keep referring to paying off the loan first. By law, they have to pay off the loan. what I don't like is that we haven't put in all associated costs for the preparation of the lots, because the last thing I want them to do is pay off the $1.8 million loan and go out and take another loan out for $300,000 to level the houses, take the oil tanks out and flatten the property.
Yeah.
But
Right?
that's-
And I'm
I
sure that's
agree.
what you don't want either.
I think the FinCom would respectfully request that we add it into the article, please.
Which part? The whole thing?
No,
Yeah.
just about the
This
payoff
pay-
provisions, however you want to word it.
I don't know why we change it myself.
Sorry, Tom, I didn't hear
I
you.
was working with town council.
No,
Town, it's not, I think it was literally to cut down on the actual verbiage in the article so that you don't have this big, long article. And it's, again, Dana's recent comment aside, it's not required. We can recommend it all we want, but our recommendation will have no bearing whether they pay the loan off or not. The fact of the matter is they have to pay the loan because
Right.
it's the law.
somehow.
So
But the point is, we want the proceeds from this to be the vehicle that makes that reconciliation for the money. They're probably gonna have to borrow the money to pay the loan off. Right? They don't have that kind of money laying around.
With the sales, I think it
can't
will
sell it.
become available.
You can't sell it unless you pay it off.
well, it happened, right. It's gonna be pretty convoluted.
Yeah, but this is one of the questions we asked a long time ago and nobody ever answered it. How do they do this?
Wait, why don't, instead of putting, okay, so Dana, you feel strongly that payoff wording should be there. I think that actually we should start the warrant article, and say, as the $1.8 million loan is due in 2024, the committee would like the town to vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the property, blah, blah, blah.
That
So it's-
sounds
About
good.
this,
Right? So it's like,
Wait a minute, wait a
boom.
minute. I
So
got it. To see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the property.
Nope. I
To-
think that before all
In
of
order,
that,
yeah,
so, to put before at the very beginning of, right after warrant article, we put as a loan of $1.8 million is due in 2024, that the committee would like to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the property on Castle Road. And so it's like, right from the get-go, it's clear. We owe $1.8 million, and it's coming due in 3 years.
so as the loan for $1.8 million, yeah, as the loan for $1.8 million is due in 2024.
Yep.
See,
I don't know how we should word it. The committee would like the town to vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the property. I don't know why it started with this to see wording.
it's supposed to. They all
Is that
do.
how
This-
they all
I-
do?
As the loan for 1.8 million, I don't think is gonna fly, but vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen
Vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dis-
in order, wait a minute,
in order to pay off the loan of $1.8 million to do.
let's see, let me,
All right, so delete
And
that
again,
to see the town.
to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen in
The
order to
loan
pay
part-
off the loan for $1.8 million due in 2024.
No, it has
To
to go, that
dispose-
has to go after dispose of the property. Is it-
Aren't they gonna have to get a, aren't they gonna have to get a bridge loan or something to do this?
Yeah,
To
That's
see the town
probably
will
what
authorize
they-
the Board of Selectmen.
Yeah, but I'd like to see the cost of the bridge loan and everything all covered with this money.
well,
That's why I like the wording we have in there. They're all costs associated. I mean,
that's gonna stay there as a separate, that's gonna
Okay.
stay as a separate bullet item.
okay, because
See
I
the town will
think
vote
that's
to
important.
authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the property, comma, in order to pay off the loan of $1.8 million due in 2024, comma.
No, I think it
you
should
can
be
rent-
dispose of the property on Castle Road, Goddard, blah, blah, blah. And then in order to pay off the loan of $1.8 million due in
Okay,
2024. I don't know. I think that makes more sense.
all right.
So we're taking this. We're putting it where?
Right
There.
after, yeah, right there. Yep.
Comma, under the following
All right.
conditions.
Yep. That's where it should go.
Peter, can you make that font bigger on the left? I mean, I can't even see that with a magnifying glass.
Oh, you know what? You don't need the other sheet right now. How's that? Better?
No.
No?
And you know, as an
your
aside, I
glasses.
told Dana
Yeah.
that we ended at 9 o'clock, just saying.
Yeah, I'm getting blurry.
Yeah, we gotta end soon.
I can't see.
All right, so to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the property on Castle Road and Goddard Drive, known as the Coast Guard Housing, in order to pay off the loan of $1.8 million due in 2024, under the following conditions. The existing houses are demolished, the in-ground oil tanks are removed, the land is leveled to reduce mounding, the land is subdivided as per the plans presented, and subject to any title issues being resolved. 12 individual lots be sold with restrictions so that no single entity can purchase more than one lot. Lots cannot be combined while retaining the following areas within the property. We still got to find a place to put this highlighted gray area, but 15-foot wide path Bailey's Hill, the 30-foot and the 10-foot. And to prevent overdevelopment, deed restrictions be placed on each deed to limit the maximum floor area ratio for these lots at 25%. And all costs
Yeah, I think
Payable from
that's a place for it at the end.
That's where it makes the most sense.
How's that?
That's
Comma,
where it makes
or take
sense.
any. Let me get rid of
Yep.
this.
Do we get everything that we need to get in there?
So we have, the only question then becomes the staggering of the sales.
I mean, as we've talked about it, I like it now. I didn't like it before, but since it's a fairly short period of time, you know, Hell, some people are gonna take 4 years to build.
Exactly. So instead of saying staggering sales, I think we could just say, sell every other,
Every other house.
yep,
I like
over a 2-year period. Yeah, so just get rid of staggering sales because that confuses people. That terminology might confuse people, and just say sell every other house over a 2-year period to reduce risks of overdevelopment, construction, congestion.
Okay, wait a
And
minute.
I
So I'm
honestly,
gonna put it,
I feel like we should just delete spread windfall over 2 years and not flooding the market for the purposes of the article,
I agree. I agree.
right? Because overdevelopment and construction congestion in itself is a good incentive.
Is enough.
wait a minute. Then why don't we do this? Why don't we go up to here with restrictions that no single entity can purchase more than one lot. Lots cannot be combined. And lots and I think this is going to be confusing.
Well, we could say sell alternating lots.
Over a 2-year period.
Yeah,
Well, in
to
two
reduce risks
offerings.
of overdevelopment and construction congestion.
Yeah, or you could just say in 2 offerings.
Sell every other lot.
No, say sell alternating lots.
Oh, okay, wait a minute. Now, you know what? I can tell you right now, you know what people are gonna think? I think people are gonna be concerned that we're gonna sell every other lot. We're gonna sell one lot 1 year and the second lot the second year.
No, well,
I think people are gonna be confused.
yeah, they
and
could, but just say in
this
2
is-
offerings.
Yeah, okay, then what Tom suggested makes sense then.
What is it?
2 offerings.
Oh. So. Sell 2 offerings?
Yeah, sell lots in 2 offerings to reduce
So
risk of,
alternating.
just
uh,
to reduce risk of overdevelopment and construction congestion.
Sell lots in 2 offerings?
Mm-hmm.
To prevent or,
Yeah, to prevent or reduce risks of overdevelopment and construction congestion. And then do you think we're gonna have time for Dan's script to, well, Dan's script will tell us what can and can't be used.
I'm not gonna
right?
send it to Dan's script. I'm gonna send it right to Tony tomorrow and say, this is our committee voted with the guidance of Josh Antrim, that we need this change. This is what our new warrant article should read. And they can do what they want with it after this, but we need to make sure that all of this stuff is in there.
Right,
So,
right.
I mean, I'm not trying to be a smart guy, but again, we've been working at this for a long time and we're trying to make sure that that we have all the stuff that we need, you know. So I'm going to read through it again to see if the town will vote to authorize the Board of Selectmen to dispose of the property on Castle Road and Goddard Drive known as the Coast Guard housing. in order to pay off the loan of $1.8 million due in 2024 under the following conditions: that existing houses are demolished, the in-ground oil storage tanks are removed, the land is leveled to reduce mounding, the land is subdivided as per the plans presented, and subject to any title issues being resolved, 12 individual lots be sold with restrictions that no single entity can purchase more than one lot. Lots cannot be combined. I wanted to take away that and sell lots in 2 offerings to reduce risks of overdevelopment and construction congestion while retaining areas within the property. Now, before I go on, should it be 2 offerings over 2 years?
I'd say within 2 years. And I'd say, I still think we need to have that every other lot somewhere, or alternating lots.
I want to tell Julie.
All right, to sell alternating lots in 2 offerings over 2 years to reduce risks of overdevelopment and construction congestion, while retaining the following areas within the property. And then we have whatever, all the things that we are trying to keep. And then to prevent overdevelopment, deed restrictions be placed on each deed to limit the maximum floor area ratio for these lots at 25%, and all costs associated with the preparation of the lots and the sale of the property be paid off first with any profits from the sale, or take any other action relative thereto. How does everybody
Okay.
feel about that?
I
Sounds
think
good.
that says it all.
Yeah,
I have a question on the entity. Didn't we have better language in the one in the presentation?
Hold on a second, Tom. Could you repeat what you just said?
Maybe. I thought in our recommendations page, we had clearer definition of an individual entity.
I don't remember, well,
Well, for some reason, I can't flip my computer back.
1 per individual entity or group. That's all we had. This is
All
the
right.
same slide,
Okay, but that's different than individual entity.
wait a minute.
I don't actually know what group means, but it sounds more restrictive. I mean, if you say a father and a son can buy lots next to each other, that wasn't my intent originally when we voted on this.
Well, you can't have a father and a son buy, well, what if the father buys a house and builds a house in the first go round, and then the second year comes and the son just got married and won the lottery and decided to live next to his father? You think there's a problem with that?
Well, as long as it can't be combined.
Right.
that should be in the deed
mean-
restrictions.
Okay, that's why I wanted to see that letter. I mean, I read that letter that was passed around with that last thing, and it was a joke. The attorney basically said, I didn't do any work, but I certify that this is an accurate description of the land. And oh, by the way, you can't hold me harmless for not looking at the fact.
Entity. Do you want me to put entity/group?
Yeah. Because I could see where, people go in and buy it And then the same, one person from that group wants to buy another one. And that to me is more worrisome than
So
some.
all right,
some-
I'm just doing what, I'm putting down what we had on the slide.
Yeah, I
So
like
that
I
no
mean, that's what I voted for.
individual, what's that?
No, that's what I voted for. I mean, that's what I thought
Well,
No,
we
we-
have to vote on this again, so
no, I
any changes
understand. That's why I want the same language. Sorry,
right,
I'm getting punchy.
all right. Yeah, we all are. I mean, so is everybody comfortable with this where I'm gonna clean it up? Obviously, I'll do a spell check and then I will send it to Tony tomorrow. We'll copy everybody on the email and say, that this is our final version.
Yeah.
And Josh, Josh can speak to it because he was at our meeting.
All right, I'm good.
So we need to make a motion to approve this as written.
This is Pan.
You
I'll
wanna
make
make that-
a motion to approve this warrant article as written.
I'll second that, Wayne.
Wayne, okay, we need any discussion? All right, we need a roll call vote.
Zahora, I.
Okay,
Manatee, I.
Wayne Wilson, aye.
Hamilton, I.
and chair votes aye. Peter Barber. Okay, cool. So we have our warrant article.
So the next thing we need to discuss, and when can we bring this to the town, to Board of Selectmen meeting? Wasn't that the next steps, Peter?
So the Board of Selectmen meeting tomorrow night. So this will go in tomorrow night to be put in as the warrant article that gets printed. As I said earlier,
I'm sorry, that's not what I meant. I meant, when do you want to
Okay.
meet with, you wanted to bring this to the committee, right? So,
Yes.
when
so
you,
when do we want to meet with the Board of Selectmen so what I'm envisioning is a separate meeting, not a Board of Selectmen meeting, but a meeting with the Board of Selectmen and the Coast Guard Committee to present our findings and review our work. Review our work and present our findings. And I'm hoping it's separate and attracts a lot more people, and I'll try and get the Facebook hounds out there to get this on Facebook. So do we want to meet, do we need to meet one more time, or do you think our slides are, I mean, obviously I need to kind of clean them up a little bit. And one thing that I actually didn't show you that I'm going to show you right now is we got, and not to slow things down, but let me show you these. So this was sent to Tom and I today. I will send this out to everybody. Let's see if I have the Zoom. So this is one of the drawings from the Hayes Group on the property. This would be the more official, this is how the property would be broken up. And then we also have, and I don't know which is which by what I'm looking at. But one of them is a contour drawing. Is it this one?
No, that's the first draft he sent earlier in the day.
Oh, right.
And
Yeah,
then
this is the second.
when you got a hold of him, he finished the drawing.
Right. So this is contour lines on it, so that this is the beginning of, how they would start to flatten out the land.
Yeah, but they're, frankly, it's so small, I can't see if I blow it up to 1,000%. So I've asked him to send me two
Right.
full-size drawings. but it is a cut at the contour. But he's saying he thinks he can get rid of all the soil on this property, but he's trying to avoid having to build walls, which I said, yep,
Right.
that's a good idea. And I honestly think that he has to go back and look at the site again and refamiliarize himself, because some of the contouring doesn't make sense to me from what I can see. He's still kind of hedging some stuff. I think he really just, you can see he started at one end, went to the other, and just kind of, you know, this is really a rushed drawing. And like the curb cuts and, you know, what he's done to some of the lots, I think it's a little rushed. So I would like to see maybe go back and try to get a look at the larger drawing and try to get this something that we can review and approve, because they can't do the rendering unless we approve the contour.
Yeah, but, well, I mean, I don't think this committee's going to decide on what the contour is going to be.
You don't?
No,
Well, as far as a recommendation,
right. But, I mean,
well, have to at least check it. Jeez. I mean, you see
Tom,
all
I'm not
those,
an expert on contouring. Basically, I want them to flatten the land out. I don't know, I'm not I can read building plans. I don't read contour maps. That's my
Okay.
wife's job. I'm
okay.
just saying.
Well, the closer, if you look at the lot way at the top right.
Yeah, the closer the lines are together, the steeper the hill, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean,
all right, well, I at least like to talk to him before he, you know, I want to see a full-size drawing before I go saying, yeah, do the rendering. And then I just want to
and
challenge
nothing,
him on some of the stuff he's done.
and there is nothing that says we make a recommendation and somebody says, you know, we can't do the contouring the way they've drawn it, or we want it flatter than they've drawn it, or whatever. There's nothing to say that, you know, things aren't going to be changed. I mean, just because, you know, this is our recommendation.
No, why, you just want to approve it?
I'm
Well, I
not
don't think we're
saying-
approving it. I think all we're doing is I mean, I understand what you're saying, Tom. I think that, and frankly, I can't understand why it's rushed. They've had since August, but hey.
Right.
Well,
But
yeah, this was promised a long time ago, and
right. So I don't,
nothing was sent until today.
that doesn't mean, you know, we've had some worse luck with this stuff, but
Yeah.
I think
know.
in the end, I mean, you're right. It'd be good to see the big drawings. I don't really understand how to read this, frankly. But I would imagine there's a lot of people in town that wouldn't understand how to read this, and I'm sure that there are people that do. We could say this is I don't know, guys. I'm tired.
Yeah, the critical part isn't the, you know, it's, I mean, even the placement of the houses or, you know, I mean, where the driveways are and stuff. None of that is important, because it doesn't, you know, like, it doesn't mean that every one of these houses is going to be situated on the lots the way they are, or that the
No.
driveways are on the left of the house or the right of the house, or the house sits, you know. So, I mean, we're not recommending how this, you know, this new development is built. We're basically making a recommendation that this is essentially how it's going to be laid out. Tom, I think you're getting way down into the weeds.
Well, it's only, I understand it's hypothetical, but it does raise some questions, because all the garage layouts should give you something to think about, you know, because that doesn't count as part of the FAR. I don't know.
Right, I
How
mean,
about
you
this?
know,
How about we get the drawings sent to the committee members, and then Peter, once, at least we got one thing huge accomplished tonight, which was to get the warrant article done, which we needed to get done, right? So let's find out when we are slated to meet with the selectmen, and once we have that drop date, then we can back into another committee meeting. Does that
Okay.
make sense?
all right. Yep, we can back into another committee meeting, but so here's the problem. Until we approve these drawings, they're not gonna do the rendering, which means, I mean, we need,
Well,
to me,
Who
the
luckily,
needs
rendering,
luckily, another contractor is going to do it, and he's saying like 2 or 3 days. So all we need is our drop dead date for the presentation. Really.
okay, all right. All right, because I
It
mean,
has to be,
you know-
it has to be, a week or so at least before that presentation. But he's actually sketching in types of houses in here to some degree.
right. I just realized something. On our wording, where did it go? Uh-oh. Where did it go? They have too many windows. Oh. So one thing that I guess I'm mistaken, because basically if you look at this middle section, it said the land is subdivided as per the plans presented.
Yeah.
So does that put us in jeopardy of follow this? Exactly.
What's that?
Yeah.
I couldn't hear you. You went out for a second. What'd you say?
Hold on. I gotta move things around. So the wing we just voted on basically says land is leveled and reduced mounding. The land is subdivided as per the plans presented.
Right.
Oh,
These
so
are
maybe we
the
should just,
plans present.
so maybe we should delete that and just put 12 lots. That's where the 12 individual lots should go.
Yeah, but
Because-
we don't
Because
want to we don't want to lose the contouring. What I don't understand.
I know, but are we gonna put the plans in the appendix? I think we just lifted that wording off of the presentation, which shows the
So what's the-
plans. But in the warrant article, we don't have those plans shown.
What's the right way to say, to use the plans as a guide?
I don't think we can say
You'd
that in
You'd
the
say
warrant
presented
article.
or amended.
What's that?
Mm,
You'd say presented or amended.
So the land subdivided as per the plans presented or amended?
Yes.
But there are no plans presented or amended in the book,
Right, I agree.
Right.
So it's a confusion, right? So
right?
we gotta
there's
take that
there's
out.
no article, there's, yeah, no appendix to appreciate, so.
All right, so. All right. I'm
I
gonna
think
read
we
it
just need
again.
to. Okay,
The land is leveled to reduce mounded. The land is subdivided and subject to any title issues being resolved. 12 individual lots be sold. That the existing houses are demolished, the in-ground oil storage tanks are removed. The land is leveled to reduce mounding. The land is subdivided And subject to any title issues being resolved, 12 individual lots be sold with deed restrictions that no single individual, entity, or group can purchase more than one lot. Lots cannot be combined, and sell alternating lots in 2 offerings over 2 years to reduce risks of overdevelopment and construction congestion while retaining the following areas.
If it were,
That makes-
I think that that last part should be separated into a different line item. The sell the
Which-
alternating lots, because it's so, there's so much information in that. Let's just separate out what we need to into bullet points. I mean, I think we can still vote on it because all the information is intrinsically the same. It's just a matter of
Wait a
where it's
minute.
placed.
So,
We could put that towards the bottom.
yeah, but then we're gonna expand the bottom too much too. It's 6 1/2 dozen of the other.
I don't.
Oh,
I mean,
actually, you know
that's
what?
all-
It's to prevent
it's-
over, wait a minute. Wait a minute. It's to prevent overdevelopment. So to prevent overdevelopment, deed restrictions be placed on each to limit maximum floor area ratio.
Well, I mean, I think that.
Wait a minute,
what
wait a
we're-
minute. I think you got it though. I think you got it. Paste. And to prevent overdevelopment, deed restrictions be placed on each deed to limit the maximum floor area ratio for these lots at 25%. Sell alternating lots in 2 offers over 2 years. Because we've already mentioned overdevelopment.
Yeah,
The only thing we don't have. Wait a minute. How about this? And to prevent overdevelopment, deed restrictions be placed on each deed to limit the maximum floor area ratio for these lots at 25%. To also reduce construction congestion, sell alternating lots in 2 offerings over 2 years. And all costs associated with the preparation of the lots and sale of the property be paid off first with any profits from the sale, or take any
See,
action there.
I think that last part should be a different line item. Lumping it
last
all
part?
together is not that, the sale of the property be paid off first with any profits from the sale and take any action relative thereto. Do you know what I mean?
It's
Like
all,
lumping it all
it's all one
together is-
article though.
No, but it's a different bullet point.
right. That's all I'm saying, a different bullet point. Just because lumping it all together isn't gonna change the information.
No, see how you have,
Right.
those are all bullet points, just make that a new bullet point.
Okay, so. All right, so bullet point, and to prevent overdevelopment, deed restrictions be placed on each deed to limit the maximum floor area ratio for these lots at 25%. To also reduce construction and to also construction congestion, sell alternating lots in 2 offerings over 2 years. And then another bullet point that says, and all costs associated with the preparation of the lots and sale of the property be paid off first with any profits from the sale, or take any other action relative thereto. And I'm just gonna,
I mean, all the information's the same. Do we need to take another vote?
No, I don't think so. We haven't changed the information, we just changed, the bullet
Placement.
point. Yeah,
Right, right. Okay,
all right, so everybody is in agreement. We just did some, let's see,
edits.
administrative changes.
okay.
Okay, so, warrant article is essentially done. Now we just need to
Yep.
find out when we're meeting with the selectmen. And then we can
Right.
back
So here-
into
so-
everything else.
Okay, but let's go back to the drawing for a minute. Since we're not presenting drawing as part of the warrant article, can we at least vote to accept this drawing so that they could do the rendering based on this? And then, obviously, we would have, at some point, I'm assuming they may form another committee to take over from where we are, or the selectmen are gonna have, town
Right.
administrator, and we go to the town administrator and say, we approve this drawing, but, really the contouring should be looked at again and, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah, okay. I'm fine. I mean, I know Tom has issue with the drawings, but I'm concerned that even though Hayes said that, the renderer can do it in 2 to 3 days, that it's really not going to be 2 to 3 days.
Right, they were
So that,
2 to 3, they were 3 weeks off of this.
Right.
so, right. So I know what you're saying, Tom, but I would feel more comfortable moving forward so that we can get it done before town meeting.
Yeah, look, I'm gonna probably abstain regardless of what you do, so go ahead.
I mean,
Okay.
Tom, and I have no problem, we still have money with these guys. I have no problem with you continuing to work on, with them on contouring. I mean, we
No,
still, as
Well,
long as
I'm
we still
almost-
have funding.
Yeah, I'm almost ready to find another surveyor. I
Well,
know
that'd be
he's,
great, but
I know he's been
little
busy,
late.
but. No,
All right, well, how
Yeah.
about this? How about we vote on, well, we have to use this, right, to go to do the rendering.
Well, yeah, I would have them do the rendering on this. I will
I
tell you
agree.
that, unless, Tom, do you think if well, we would use this drawing in our presentation with the rendering that matches. Again, you can continue, or we can continue working with Hayes to develop a better contour drawing. Because again, the rendering is only showing kind of what the houses are going to look like. It's not going to be the actual houses that are put there. We just need something to give.
no, I understand that.
All right, then
I'm
that,
just saying, this is a very poor, it's a very poor effort on his part, and, I don't know yet what kind of houses he's got placed in there, but whoever does the rendering is gonna use this as a reference, so whatever he's stuck in there is what the rendering guy is gonna find a, shop photo for.
We told them ranches, a couple of colonials and capes. So I'm hoping that that's what these are.
Yeah, but I don't know, because he never returned my effing phone call. Okay, so I couldn't even, in fact, he wouldn't even call me when he was doing the drawing. He kept sending these stupid text messages.
Okay, well, I think everyone's getting towards the end of their, it's almost 10.
10 o'clock.
Yeah, so let's come up with I make a motion for the purposes of getting the renderings done for the town meeting to approve this contouring drawing.
I second that motion.
All right, any discussion? No discussion. Roll call vote.
Zahora, aye.
Manatee, aye.
Hank Wilson, aye.
Hamilton abstained.
Chair votes aye. Peter Barber. All right. Great. So I guess we can finish it off by just, I will get the warrant wording to Tony tomorrow. Josh will hopefully take care of getting it changed. I will start putting the rest of the slide presentation together, and We will see what Hayes says about the rendering once, and then find out, actually, looking for something. I mean, any thoughts on any thoughts on when we might want to meet with them? Do we want to meet? Do we think we need to meet before we meet?
I lost you again.
Yeah.
Sorry, I leaned over to grab my phone. Do we need to meet before we meet with the selectmen?
I would
don't think
say
so.
yes, right? No?
Oh, no, it's funny, Pam. I would have thought so. I think we've gone through the slides, we've gone through the warrant. I don't think so, unless you'd like be comfortable. If you'd be comfortable for giving it a go, would that be okay? You want to do
Yeah,
a dry run?
All right, so why don't we do this? I will finish the slides. We'll wait for the drawing. I will, let me look at, where the first week in April, Tuesday night doesn't work. Let me do this. Let me look and see how I make out on finishing up slides. And Tom, if you can get back to me on how quickly we can turn the rendering around. Who knows? Maybe we meet like on Monday, the 12th, and I don't know if Mondays are good for everybody, or whatever, and then we can book the selectmen's meeting. I'd like to do it like the week of the 14th or obviously the 19th.
I'd say, let's see when you can book the selectmen, and then we can back into it.
Okay, all right, I'll do that.
All right, I've got one question. Where should the rendering be roughly viewed from? Like up on the lower left corner, looking down towards Castle, a little bit of Gardner?
Yes, that's what I would think.
Yeah.
That's what I would think.
Okay. Like looking towards that corner, down towards the school kind of thing?
Yeah, I'm gonna say standing on the, like, almost on the corner of Gardner and Castle, and kind of, yeah, looking down towards Castle, or I don't know, maybe you're up higher and you're looking down, however they feel they're gonna get the best representation of 4 or 5 houses.
Okay. And to scale. Scale is
The
critical.
scale, yes. Scale is critical. We want them to look like they're, we don't want the big monstrosity that they,
Yeah, from that other drawing.
right.
Okay.
All right.
I'll call him tomorrow.
Thank you. Are we good? Because I need to be down.
Yeah, I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
I'm sorry, guys. Thank you very much. I second that motion.
Well, I need a motion. I just entertained it.
Oh, all right. So moved.
There you go.
I
Okay.
second it.
Go ahead.
And, all right, Judy, Pan second it, roll call vote.
Zahora, aye.
Manatee, aye.
Wilson, aye.
Templeton,
And Chair Peter Barber votes aye. All right, great. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you,
Hopefully
everybody.
this will be
Really well.
over in May.
All right, good night.
aye.
Good night. Thank you.
Good night.
Bye-bye.
Take care. Bye.
Bye.